Welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report, episode 358. All right, so welcome to the JP8 report. This is not a day for the worry, because let me refresh. There is big news coming out of, I think, California. We'll get to that as soon as it comes on. I still got two more screens, so let's just get this. Let's get this going, right? Welcome to the JP8 report. Please click that follow button if you're not already following the JP8 report, and then give us a like, and then talk to us in the chat. I got Rob in the chat. He's my hall monitor. We are tracking coming out of a court about a verdict for social media trial yesterday. I can tell you that really go back. Facebook was found liable for $375 million. I believe that was in New Mexico. And today, after 9 days of deliberation, the big one between YouTube and Facebook being sued is supposed to be coming out in just a minute. I'm waiting for what it says on here, and we have another one that came from the Supreme Court about copyrights. 9-0 was the ruling. Okay, and we'll go over that in just a little bit also. All right. It was supposed to. This is wow. So this was a $1 billion verdict from an appeals court, a Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, I believe, and the Supreme Court overturned it. Wow. Okay. So like I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. I just got to, I guess, keep refreshing until I get it. I will tell you exactly what the verdict is in just a minute. And then Iran's getting pounded by the U.S. and Israel. But yeah, so America 250. So just to let you know, America 250, the Second Continental Congress presents George Washington with the gold medal for his actions in Boston, right? 7 days earlier. So this is probably the first congressional gold medal that was awarded, and it was to him for breaking the siege of Boston and winning. All right. Also, there was a battle of Tybee Island in Georgia. I think Tybee Island is down near Savannah, I think. But it was an American win. There was one British soldier killed in action, 2 British soldiers wounded in action, and we captured 13 British soldiers. So chalk up a win for American for the American side. And let's see. I'm looking to see if there's any breaking news and stuff. Okay. So we got that America 250. There's no update on the Dalmatian. And then before we really get into what's going on, okay, really right there, that's the first one. I am looking at both sides live. It looks like we have lawyers walking into the courthouse, so it'll be just a few minutes. So let's go ahead and knock out the Iran update. All right. Thank you all very much for tuning in, and let's just make the best of this. Hey, if you're proud of being American, put an American flag in the chat. I will start with ours. There I go. Follow suit. Follow me. All right. All right. So Iran update. Operation Epic Fury. Trump sends 15-point plan to Iran, and then Iran sends an unrealistic demands to us. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes also. The 82nd DRB, that'd be the Division Readiness Bureau, is on their way to the 82nd Defense Readiness Brigade is on their way to the Middle East somewhere, and then the 31st MU, that'd be the Marine uh, Expeditionary Unit. They're on their way, and they're supposed to be in the Middle East by Friday. All right. Um, Iran, an ex-Israeli general saying Iran is on the brink of collapse, political collapse, and military collapse within the next few weeks. Senior Iranian officials are granted temporary immunity during the talks. Um, the Department of War reports a total of so far 290 wounded in action and 13 killed in action. That's over the whole course of the whole month. And then Bahrain is sponsoring a United Nations resolution that would authorize military force in the Strait of Hormuz to protect the shipping. All right. Uh, Brent Brent crude is trading at $96.95 a barrel. Uh, that would be what a 1 day comparison. Yesterday at this time, it was trading at 98.92. So oil is basically down in 24 hours by $2 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate is trading right now at $90.03 a barrel, and yesterday it was at $91.62. So that's down almost $2 a barrel. And then the Dow Jones right now is at 46,409, and yesterday it was at 46,376. So the Dow Jones is up. So better economic news compared to yesterday. All right. Um, Still nothing on this verdict yet. All right. So that being okay, so where are we at right now? We got two American flags, me and Rob. Anybody else in the chat? Please leave us an American flag if you're proud to be an American. All right, because the next part is going to be, well, we'll just say what the president said. Make everyone's day. All right. This is what the president said this morning on True Social. Y'all will love it. Make America great again. Isn't that great? Isn't that awesome? He wants everybody to be proud to be an American, right? That's why you need to put American flags in the chat, all right? So we go back, and then we got that all done. And then the next is the president also put another one out. The radical left, country-hating Democrats are trying to create inner chaos to take away from a great military achievement we are having in Iran. They hate seeing us win so completely and decisively, but the American public see what's going on. America first, President Donald J. Trump. Those were put out today, all right? And then you have to realize what's going on. And I mean, yeah, it costs money to fly these airplanes and drop all these bombs and shoot these missiles and steer these ships. But we are doing remarkably well across Iran. I'm not saying it's going to get harder, but right now we're doing a lot better. Okay, the um, man, I'm waiting for this verdict. Man, this is crazy, making us wait. Let me refresh one more time to see if anything's been updated on it. Okay, we'll get back to it when we can. All right, so the day is Medal of Honor Remembrance Day. All right, just so you know, there have been today, March as of March 26, March 2026, there have been 3,547 medals of honor presented to 3,528 individuals. 19 people have received the Medal of Honor twice. All right. And then 61 are still living. All right. The Army has been presented 2,467, and the Navy's been presented 749. The Marine Corps 300. The Air Force 19, and the Coast Guard 1. All right. So you might be asking, why would the Coast Guard get a Medal of Honor? Well, in World War II, at the Battle of Guadalcanal, there was one presented. All right, and there have been in the Civil War, 1,523 were presented. World War II, 471 were presented. Vietnam, 266. The Korean War, 146, and World War I, 126, and then GWAT is 28. All right, so that is Medal of Honor recipient day. Remember the Medal of Honor recipients, including the most recent ones, CW5 Staver, I think is his name, and the other two individuals that received, three individuals received them like a couple weeks ago. All right, so that is that. Oh, I'll put it back over here. And then let's see, anything yet? Hey, Rob, since you're listening, if you see the verdict, clue me in, okay? It's I got someone listening. Rob is my hall monitor. He keeps me apprised on everything that's coming out. So the next thing is the 82nd Airborne. So they call them. They don't call them Division Readiness Brigades anymore. They call them Immediate Response Force, and to be deployed anywhere in the world within 18 hours. So those have been called up, and I believe, okay, so I'm going to read this real quick. It says Defense Department officials are considering the deployment of a brigade from the Army's 82nd Airborne Division to the Iran war. The anonymous officials told the New York Times that neither the Pentagon nor the U.S. Central Command have issued orders regarding the deployment of the brigade. And the brigade would be from the 82nd, which includes 3,000 soldiers capable of deploying anywhere in the world in 18 hours. If deployed, they could be used to, okay, I'm not going to give up that location again. And there are 2,500 Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit that should be arriving by Friday in the Middle East. I'm partial to this because when I was in Iraq, I served on the 2nd Brigade, 82nd Airborne Division. That'd be the Falcon Brigade. I was with 2325 and 177 Cav as on a mid team. But yeah, so that's what I wore. That's what I earned. We put that on all of our sleeves, our right sleeves when we're deployed. That's the infrared patch. So 82nd Airborne is pretty special to me. All right. Still waiting on a response to that news, but we're steadily going on and on. All right. Still waiting. All right. Any 82nd Airborne veterans that are listening to the podcast, put something in the podcast, in the live chat, or leave a hard comment in the comment section. All right. All right. So yesterday, the U.S. sent a 15-point plan to end the war with Iran, as Trump says the regime has agreed to stop their nuclear program. So we sent this to them in anticipation of talks in Islamabad, that's in Pakistan, this weekend, I think by Friday, right? the plan that we sent Iranians, which I just read that someone in Iran said no way. So it's either way or no way. It depends on who the president is speaking to. Um, Let's see. So step one, there's 14 steps. Well, we know the number one is you will never have a nuclear weapon ever. All right. Number two, Iran must dismantle existing nuclear capabilities. Number two is Iran must commit never to pursue nuclear weapons. Number three, no uranium enrichment on Iranian territory. Number four, Iran must hand its stockpile of enriched uranium uh, into the International Atomic Energy Agency. The Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo nuclear facilities must be dismantled. I'd say turn them to glass. The IAEA must be granted full access to Iran's nuclear facilities. Iran must abandon its regional proxy paradigm. Iran must cease funding, directing, and arming its proxies. That means no more funds go to Gaza, to Hamas, no more to Hezbollah, no more to Houthis, no more to the Iranian militias, the Shia militias inside of Iraq. Um, Man, that is awesome because we had to deal with them when I was in Iraq. Um, Iran must they must stop funding, directing, and arming its proxies. The Strait of Hormuz must remain open. Iran's missile program must be limited in both range and quantity. Iran must limit its use of missiles to self-defense. And number 12, if Iran would benefit from Iran, the end of sanctions imposed by the international community, U.S. assistance to advance its civilian nuclear program, and there would be a snapback mechanism allowing for the automatic reimposition of sanctions if Iran fails to comply would be removed. All right. So that's our plan that we gave to the Iranians. All right. Now, I hope you're sitting down because this is what Iran sent to the U.S. And I got this of the Kobisi letter. It's on X. A preliminary list of Iran's demands for a potential ceasefire with the U.S. and Israel has been compiled per Reuters. Terms include reparations and compensation for wartime losses. That's a crock. Iran obtained formal control of the Strait of Hormuz. That ain't going to happen either. Security guarantees against future military action. I don't think so, Tim. And then no limitations on Iran's ballistic missile program. And then it says, we wait a response from the U.S. We probably dropped a 500,000 pounds of ordnance, probably more than that, on Iran. We destroy their entire military infrastructure. They no longer have an air force, and they no longer have a navy, and their army is decimated, and they have no air defense to protect themselves. We rule the air, we rule the sea. Their army has no way of defending or conducting any type of defensive or offensive operations. They're done. And they think they can still fight. So I do not know what Iran thinks they're doing, but I would shoot the person that actually transmitted that list of demands to the United States because they sealed their death warrant by doing that. All we're going to do, I'm looking at a picture on Fox News right now, right? That has, strikes cripple Iran's regime's military facilities used to threaten Americans for decades. How much more do the Iranians want to lose? The IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, they need to assert the control over the country before it's all glass or worse. All right? And it's sad to see a military organization controlling a country, but they need some type of control, or you're going to have mass starvation and mass casualties inside of Iran itself. All right, so someone in charge needs to tell the country of Iran and the U.S. that we want your ceasefire proposal, and then give it up. All right. Let's see. Any moment, verdict announced in the social media case. We're still waiting for it. What time we got? It's already 12:22. We're doing good. Slow down. All right. So before we go any further, don't forget to click that follow button to follow the podcast, and give us a like on the podcast, and then also say something in the chat. Do something. Put an American flag in there. Put a Texas flag. I see Rob put dancing bananas. Just like Chad Prather says, what's the deal with the dancing bananas? But he put them in there, so we'll have to abide by that. All right. So as we were waiting for one court case, we're going to go to the more important court case, which was unanimously ruled today. Okay, that internet providers are not liable for copyright infringements by their users. Did they come out? Okay. This is like a really important court case. Okay, so we'll see in just a second. Okay, so the Supreme Court unanimously ruled Wednesday that internet providers are not liable for copyright infringements by their users, delivering an opinion in Cox versus Sony and tossing a $1 billion verdict. Under our precedents, a company is not liable as a copyright infringer for merely providing a service to the public with knowledge that it will be used by some to infringe copyrights, Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in the opinion. Accordingly, we reverse. The ruling marks a significant win for broadband users facing pressure from copyright owners to police subscriber activity. Cox Communications now cannot be held liable for piracy by its internet service subscribers of songs owned by Sony, Warner, and Universal Music Group and other labels, ending their billion-dollar-plus music copyright lawsuit. The 9-0 ruling overturned the lower court's decision to order a new trial to determine how much the internet service provider owned the record labels and to form a liability control called contributory copyright infringement. And okay, so here we go. Breaking news. Facebook, Meta, and YouTube negligence and liable for the social media trial. And there's no data to go with it because it's going to say watch now, isn't it? Yeah. Hold on just a second. both Google and Meta found liable for negligence, failure to warn. So this is going to be a huge social media judgment against the social media companies for not taking protective measures on their subscribers. This is going to be huge. Facebook lost $375 million yesterday in New Mexico, and it looks like it's going to happen again. All right. Rob says guilty. You should say that in all caps, Rob. All right. Hopefully they put it in print in just a few minutes. Failure to warn and then negligence are the two the two that they got. Man, I wish I had speakers on my computer. All right. So the 9-0 ruling overturned a lower court decision to order a new trial to determine how much the internet service provider owed the record labels. Cox said a retrial would have produced a verdict against Atlanta-based ISP for as much as $1.5 billion. The judgment of the Court of Appeals of the Fourth Circuit is reversed, and the case is remanded for further proceedings consistent with this opinion. The ruling concluded. Justice Sonia Sotomayor joined Justice Brown Jackson and agreed Cox should prevail in this case, but rejected the majority's broader reasoning. In her separate opinion, Sotomayor wrote that the majority, without any meaningful explanation, unnecessarily limits secondary liability and warned that the decision also upends the statutory incentive of structure of Congress created. The facts in this case do not establish the requisite intent needed to hold Cox liable for the infringement that occurred on its network. Because the majority needlessly curtails secondary liability. This is all lawyer talk. Man, if I was a lawyer, I could all explain it. Excuse me, LOL. All right. The Richmond-based Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals threw out the damages in 2024, and the Fourth Circuit ordered a retrial on the award size after affirming the jury's finding contributory infringement, but reversing it, finding it vicariously liable. So I guess what this means, people, is that, like on YouTube, you post something and it has the music in and you're trying to monetize it, and then you'll get a marker on it that says copyright claimed, and so you can't monetize your program because you have music in the background that you can't control. I think that's what that means, right? Wow. That's a big. Anytime you get a 9-0 ruling, it's huge. Because you got those three individuals that don't want to listen. All right, so what we got going on here? Do we have anything in writing yet? Nope, nothing. Hold. Is there anything yet? Nope. Boy, I wish I could listen to this. Okay, well, I can't. So we'll go back to it in a few minutes. Okay, I told you about the 82nd Airborne. Talked about the 31st MEU, Medal of Honor, the 15-point, and the imaginary Iranian 4-point plan, right? Let's see. There is. We'll stick with the law stuff since. Okay, so on Tuesday there's going to be another there's going to be another court case on Tuesday, right? With the Supreme Court. The Department of Justice will argue Tuesday that lower courts are undermining the federal government's ability to manage the southern border in a closely watched Supreme Court case about how migrants take asylum claims. Department of Justice lawyers wrote in court papers ahead of arguments that an appeals court was wrong to restrict the government's ability to limit how it processes immigrants into the country. The lawyers said the ruling stripped the executive branch of a necessary tool, first used $3 million in damages. Is that per person or altogether? Jury awards $3 million in damages in social media trial. Wow. Okay, so let's see. Administrations of both major parties have opposed the decision, which derives this executive branch of a critical tool addressing border surges and preventing overcrowding of ports of entry. The court should reverse. That's what the DOJ said, right? Uh, so what they're arguing for is that the administration needs to be able to enforce the borders of our country, which is true, right? Um, so I keep getting distracted over this other news. So what it is these lower courts. You got people that selectively look for judges that will rule in their favor, and make it harder for the president and the Department of Justice to enforce immigration law, because you have people out there that want open borders and flood the entire countryside with illegal aliens, and the administration wants to be able to lock the border down and prevent people from staying, or even giving entry certificates and say, hey, come see us in 7.5 years and stuff like that. They just want the ability to be able to carry on and do the job that we gave them to do, that they took an oath to the Constitution to protect us from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Because when you let people into our country unvetted, you never know what you're getting. Even though they may say the guy's got a clean record, well, you can't depend on the law enforcement from another country, especially if they're trying to declare asylum. Because I will tell you right now, the border is littered with passports and driver's license and birth certificates and stuff that illegal aliens dropped before they got into the river to come over to our side. All right. So this will be heard next Tuesday at the Supreme Court. All right. It's either next Tuesday or tomorrow. Or yesterday. I think it's next week, unless someone just forgot to actually put the correct stuff on it. Because I read something on the Bongino report. Hold on just a second here. Refresh. Okay, so I saw something on there because Justice Thomas said something. I should have. See, I'm like Dan Bongino. They are. What's this? Hold on just a second here. Supreme Court just dealt a blow to the dems plan to prosecute ICE agents if they retake power. The Democrats have made it painfully, frighteningly clear they intend to weaponize the government against Trump, his allies, and anyone that didn't sufficiently resist the Trump administration if they regain power, Susan Rice said last month. What did the Supreme Court say? The Supreme Court has made it clear that Democrats' revenge plans may not pass constitutional muster, and that they ruled against the Circuit Court and upheld the Vermont officer had immunity. That's what was ruled on Monday. All right, we did go over that. All right, so back to Fox. Refresh and nothing else. Oh, there we go. Okay, y'all ready for this? Here we go. Jury finds Meta and Google liable in landmark social media addiction trial, awards $3 million in damages. The trial has been going on since February. A Los Angeles jury on Wednesday found Meta and Google liable in a closely watched trial, accusing social media platforms of designing their products to get young users addicted, awarding the plaintiff $3 million in damages. The verdict came in after 9 days, roughly 43 hours of deliberations. The case centered on a now 20-year-old California woman identified as KGM, who said social media platforms encourage addictive use when she was a minor and contributed to depression and suicidal thoughts. Her lawsuit alleged that the company behind several major platforms designed their products in a way to encourage compulsive use among young people. Companies have denied wrongdoing and argued their services include safety tools and parental controls. TikTok and Snap, the parent company of Snapchat, were originally named as defendants but settled ahead of the trial, leaving Meta and Google on YouTube as the remaining companies in the case. So she got more than $3 million, believe me. The trial has been closely watched as one of the first to test in front of a jury whether social media companies can be held responsible for alleged harms tied to use of platforms. Jurors were asked to determine whether Meta or YouTube should have known their platforms pose a danger to children, whether companies were negligent in designing their products, and if so, whether the services were a substantial factor in causing the plaintiff's mental issues. Monday, jurors told, okay, we know about that. It's the breaking news. My only question is, why didn't the parents of the said person disconnect their social media? 6 years old, really? 7 years old, really? It means it was, I would say, potentially a neglectful parent that refused to assert control over their child. Okay, I mean, I know it still happens, but at the same time, there needs to be some self-discipline instilled by the parent. Parents mean everything. When you are under the age of 18, you're a minor, and your parents accept responsibility all things for that minor within reason, right? All right, so we got that out of the way. She got $3 million. All right, so back to politics. All right, so Iran strategy. We go, you know what? Let's do this one. So docs expose expansive FBI surveillance of Trump allies' possible illegalities. Okay, so I heard a little bit about this morning. It's concerning Kash Patel and his phone records. Okay, so newly released records in the Senate investigation into a weaponization of government raises questions on whether the FBI went on a fishing expedition and targeting Trump advisors who were never charged with crimes, and whether special counsel Jack Smith Pryor's testimony in Congress was truthful. The documents were made public by Chairman Chuck Grassley, Iowa, uh, before the Senate Judiciary Committee subcommittee hearing into alleged abuses by Biden era FBI and Justice Department in their investigations into when ex-President Donald Trump, before and during his 2024 presidential election, during which the probe, codenamed Arctic Frost, Just the News previously reported that Biden's FBI paid anti-Trump sedition hunters as informants in Arctic Frost. They paid them. If Watergate taught us anything, it is that even a single abuse of power carried out by a handful of individuals can uh, shake the foundations of our republic. Ted Cruz said that. Um, what we confront today is, hold on just a second, I need to go back. All right, so where am I at? 7-1. What we confront today, the Biden administration's Arctic Fox scheme is not a single act. He continued in his opening remarks. It is a modern Watergate trading. Uh, it is a modern Watergate trading a break-in at one office for a digital sweep into approximately 100,000 private communications, more than a dozen senators, and thousands of individual lives. Cruz said, ultimately, just like Watergate, the judges, FBI, and Justice Department officials involved should be investigated, tried, impeached, and brought to justice. Uh, the scope of Smith's probe, which centered on Trump's challenge to the 2020 election results and events of January 6, 2021, was truly expansive. Grassley previously released records showing that Smith's office issued nearly 200 subpoenas in his sweeping Arctic Frost link case, secretly seeking records of more than 400 Republican personalities and groups. This included more than 160 Republicans, many closely connected to Trump. All right. Um, that's crazy. Arctic Frost was one of four separate probes that targeted Trump and allies stretching from summer 2016 to January 2025. The other probes were codenamed Crossfire Hurricane, Round River, Plasmic Echo, and then Just the News reported that this last month. As FBI director, Patel has personally led the effort to review these probes, uncovering evidence of a far-reaching dragnet that in some cases may have implicated on false, misleading, uncorroborated justifications previously told to Just the News. Okay, so this is the part that's disturbing to me. All right. The newly disclosed records show that the FBI ordered two sweeping subpoenas on the new FBI director before he was sworn in. Kash Patel's phone records, while he was a private citizen in Trump's orbit, each subpoena covered approximately a 2-year time frame. The FBI's requests for information included demands for highly personal data of Patel's, including Patel's address, mailing address, residential addresses, business addresses, and email addresses. A call detail record, which lists inbound and outbound calls, text messages, and voicemail messages, as well as sources of payment for the phone service, including credit card and bank account numbers. The FBI also demanded expansive internet session data, including exact IP addresses, and the documents show. The FBI also sought and was granted non-disclosure orders from federal judges shielding the existence of subpoenas from Patel and his lawyers on the grounds that revealing them could result in his flight from prosecution. Discretion or tampering with evidence, intimidation of potential witnesses, and serious jeopardy of the investigation. I think that should entail a federal lawsuit. The federal government should be sued for that, right? Matter of fact, they need to find the FBI agents and the judge. The judge needs to be impeached. And then those FBI agents and the AUSA or even the U.S. attorney need to be fired for the actions that they took on Kash Patel. Unwarranted, if you're going to issue a warrant to someone, they probably went to the FISA court instead of national security. That's why next month they need to revise that FISA, the FISA warranty that's coming up. It needs to be done. Wow. And then there's more. Susie Wiles, Donald Trump's then campaign manager. She was a campaign manager in Florida, I believe. And future chief of staff was also targeted in the probe. The Biden era FBI reportedly even went so far as to record a private phone call between Wiles and her lawyer in 2023 while she was actively managing the campaign of President Joe Biden's chief political rival. Oh, okay, I get it now. The FBI reportedly maintains that the records were justified on the pretense that her defense lawyer had consented to the recording, but Wiles' lawyer issued a statement adamantly denying he ever consented to such monitoring, raising the possibility of false representations were made to the court for phone monitoring and now infamous stage-managed raid on Mar-a-Lago. If I ever pulled a stunt like that, I wouldn't and shouldn't have a license to practice law, the unidentified lawyer told Access. I am as shocked as Susie. Yeah, that's a serious maneuver right there. The fact is that they recorded her is very disturbing. And the fact that they lied that they had the lawyer's permission is even more disconcerting because the fact is they just lied to a federal judge on paper, said, well, we have his authorization to record him, in which they didn't. Totally. There's a whole lot more on this. Well, there's one more page. But those are the two ones I wanted to bring up the most was Wiles and Kash Patel. All right. And I'm losing my voice. I still have an interview to conduct this afternoon. Man. All right. So let's continue on. About Jack Smith still. All right. Conservative critics are accusing former special counsel. If you do not like Jack Smith, put something in there saying you don't like Jack Smith, a frowny face or something. Okay, in the chat. I'm sorry, in the chat. Conservative critics are accusing former special counsel Jack Smith of improperly coordinating with two federal judges after Senator Chuck Grassley released documents Tuesday showing Smith's team interacted with the pair during the Trump investigations. Democrat D.C. Circuit District judges illegally worked in secret with Biden special counsel Jack Smith to bring charges against President Trump. Article 3 project founder Mike Davis claimed on X as details of the documents emerged on Tuesday. Smith's investigation led to criminal charges against President Donald Trump over the 2020 election cycle and alleged retention of classified documents. Trump called the investigation a witch hunt, while Republicans widely condemned the charges as an abuse of power designed to take out the then leading Republican presidential candidate. The documents released by Grassley included notes about a briefing Smith's team gave to Attorney General Merrick Garland on January 13th, 2023, just after Garland appointed Jack Smith as special counsel. The notes reference meetings with Judge Beryl Howell and James Boasberg. Man, that judge needs to go. And in both Obama Trump appointees and Trump nemesis known for their high-profile adverse rulings against the current president. She liked our approach of pursuing executive privilege litigation on omnibus fashion, Smith team wrote in reference to how, according to the documents, omnibus motions are allowed for consolidated rather than piecemeal litigations and are typically used by lawyers to streamline court filings. Smith's team frequently sought permission from the court from the piece to pierce executive privilege and the presumptive right that a president and his aides that have given their communications to a lawyer of legal privacy. That's wow. Okay, so I'm going to put this back over here because I want to read that more. Governor Kevin Stitt announced that he's tapping Alan Armstrong from Oklahoma to replace Mark Wayne Mullen, who is now the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Mr. Armstrong was sworn in as a U.S. Senator yesterday afternoon. So that is done there. Now, there's an Oklahoma law, like I've explained before, that was done in 2021 that prevents anyone that's appointed on an interim basis for running for election in that seat. So you don't have to worry about Mr. Armstrong. Matter of fact, I think Mark Wayne Mullen was about to run for re-election. I think, but I thought he only had like 3.5 years in the Senate. Well, I can look at it later. But evidently, Mr. Armstrong can't run for office. All right. So, and then, like I was saying, Mark Wayne Mullen was sworn in, and then we're going to run out of time on this main part. Hold on, let's see. I talked about that, and that. Okay. Are y'all still here? You want to hear a good one about Spartacus? Border Czar Tom Homan fired back at Senator Cory Booker, a.k.a. Spartacus, on Monday after the New Jersey Democrat blasted the Trump administration's decision to deploy ICE agents to U.S. airports and called the move an outrage. Trump's making the very same agency that has been used of bursting into our schools, into our churches, into our hospitals, into the courts, and even into the homes of Americans. But Booker said it Newark Liberty International Airport. He's taking the agency that is reckless and out of control and bringing them to our airports under the lie that somehow this is going to help deal with the long lines that have created in the first place. Holman responded during the speech on Hannity, telling the Fox News uh, host that Booker is driving the violence against ICE agents and sending the wrong message. He's misleading American people. He is lying. I want him to give one example, just one, when ICE went into a church to arrest someone, or he went into a hospital to arrest someone, or we went to an elementary school to arrest someone. Just give me one example. You know why he can't, because there isn't any. And then Holman added that he could recall one occasion when the agency pursued an illegal immigrant who ran into an educational center. Yeah, he's right. He is definitely right. Spartacus and his motley crew of people. Um, America, North America's top 10 richest, powerful countries. Yeah, I can see that one. Wow. Okay, thanks a lot, Mister Skull Spotter. All right, he's been. This is not his first time in the chat. He's been in the chat like 2 or 3 times. Uh, so we got more people that's actually out there helping out and stuff. Oh wow. I didn't notice that Rich was in the chat. I'm having trouble on Rumble. Oh, probably expecting help from the country partners. Okay. All right. So we are at 1 o'clock. Man. Okay. So I've got a couple things left here. I'm going to go into premium. Y'all just give me a second here. I'll put a cough drop in. I'm going to do a little bit more stuff on this 5-part series. All right. I don't have enough people to do an ad read though. That's the only problem. Yeah, because I got 9 people in Rumble. So this afternoon on here on Rumble, I'm going to do a clean city councilwoman candidate. That's actually her name is Christy Wilbanks. And tomorrow I have Cameron Cochran, and on Friday I have David Bass. All three are running for city council in Killeen. All right, they're going to probably be live unless I have no voice. Um, that's how it usually is, right? And then next week I have a county commissioner and I have a candidate for county judge also. All right, so thank y'all very much for tuning in today so far. Right, I'm going to transition over to premium so I can do the rest of this. Hopefully, I have my voice enough to hold out for a half hour. We'll see in just a minute. I already got my stuff here. I got part 1, 2, and 3 already done, and there's 2 more parts. If you before we go off onto uh, a premium land here, okay, and remember if you want to get on premium, you go to rumble.com/premium. Um, and then the code word is studio, and they'll give you $10 off on your subscription. Okay, so code pink. If you contribute to code pink, you need to stop, because from what I've been reading, that is one corrupt group of people right now. Okay, so please, if you haven't, you need to do some research on these people. Okay, so I am going to transition over to Rumble Premium, and I'm going to continue on. So if you don't have Premium and you're still on there, I'll see y'all tomorrow morning at 6:30, and I will see you, or I will see you at noon tomorrow with the JP8 report. All right. So I'll check y'all later, and stand by for the